Welcome, and thanks for joining us for the latest edition of Insights. This month, our student panel of 5th grade students from around the district and Dr. Waddell are discussing what they would like to know about our district, about LISD. Students have come up with some of their own questions that they'd like to discuss with Dr. Waddell, and we'll get to talk about those today. First, I'd like to introduce Dr. Waddell. We're so glad that you're here today. Thank you very much.
I'm excited about it.
We're excited to have you here and excited to have all of these students with us. First, I'd like to introduce Lyndon Porter, who's a 5th grader at Heritage Elementary. Lyndon, we're glad you're here today. Joseph Mikulik, who's a 5th grader at Etheridge Elementary. Ryan Kirch, who's a 5th grader at Hebron. And our lone lady on the panel, and we're glad she's here, Michaela Lopez, who's a 5th grader at Louisville. We're so glad that they are here and so glad to have their questions. Let's start with Michaela. Michaela, what's your question for Dr.
If you could get the students of LISD involved, how could we change the community to become a better place?
Well, that's a really, really good question and an important one. And one way I think I want to begin by answering that is all this year, we've been working with people across the Louisville Independent School District in something we call the strategic design process. We've been asking people to come together, parents, community members, business people, teachers, principals, and talk about the kind of schools that we would like to have as we move forward. One of the really big things that came out in that, as a matter of fact, we were talking about that yesterday, is students getting involved in the community. I think that's really important. I think it's important that everybody should be involved in their community, and that's why we did the strategic design process. It was to get the community involved in schools. And so when people get involved, when they start volunteering, it just leads to better things. First of all, for you, if you were getting involved, you'd feel better about what you're doing and that you're making a contribution. But for the community as a whole, by having you have a voice, your mind, your thinking, your ideas come forward, and it really kind of enriches everybody else's lives. I think it's a good idea to just get in the habit of volunteering. I work a lot with leaders in the community, and one thing I'm really impressed about them is their sense of giving back. So I think for all of us, but especially students as they're growing up and moving into adulthood, to make it a habit of participating in the community, the place that you live in, understanding that you have a responsibility to make things a better place. It will be a better place if we all get involved. So that's an excellent question, and I think it's important for us all to think about.
Part of the Parkway community, what interests do you have or causes that you would like to get involved in?
Well, I've been really interested in trying to help clean up the parks around the community. Mm-hmm. Because in my gifted and talented class at school, we've been talking about changing the community and how we can make the world a better place. And I've just been studying that, so that got me really interested in doing this.
Well, that's a great way to start it. Thank you so much for that question.
Great project, too.
Yeah, it really is very worthwhile. Ryan, you're next. What question do you have for Dr. Waddell?
Well, I have a very big question.
A very big question. Okay, we're excited to hear it.
At present, we don't have very many Apple products at our school. I am very interested in having access to iPads and Macs for classwork. Mm-hmm. Do you see the future of technology being Apple or PCs?
Wow. I think I can remember that whole question. I think there's uses for both platforms, the PC and the Apple. And so I'm not going to say that at this point in LISD that we're going to go completely Apple, but I think we've got to look at them. I think they're interesting, and the iPad is a very lightweight device. It's easy to use, and I think it's something, instead of carrying around a big backpack with textbooks in it and you're kind of bent over because they're so heavy, Have you carried a heavy backpack around? Any of you ever done that?
Yeah.
You know, and if you could put everything on an iPad or something like an iPad, there's some advantages there, I think. But that's a great question. So I really think you're going to see a lot more of them. I can't say that they're going to replace the PC altogether. Probably a mix is what we're going to see. But what do you prefer, PCs or Apple products?
I'd probably say Apple because like there's like MacBooks, there's a big range like of technology, like handheld devices to computers.
I'm going to give you 3 choices, and any of you can answer this question. Big PC sitting on a desk, laptop, iPad, and you had to choose one. Which would you choose?
iPad.
Laptop with a mouse.
What would you choose?
Probably laptop with a mouse. Probably
So
easier.
50-50 here.
Right.
iPad, laptop with a mouse.
Yeah, easier.
Nobody wants a desktop PC.
Poor
Too big.
desktop.
You can't bring it with you.
Can't bring it with you.
Nope.
Right.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Joseph is next. As you can tell, Joseph is representing Etheridge Elementary. He's a proud Eagle, and we're glad to have him with us. Joseph, what's your question for Dr. Waddell?
What changes in education do you see coming in LASD's future?
Well, I think the last question we just had points at some changes, and you just nodded your head and said yes when I said that. So I think as in business and really everywhere that we go these days, the impact of technology is changing things. Kids and teachers having access to digital resources that not only does it save money in the long run, as well as back pain, but it also will provide a lot more diverse and richer resources for students and teachers. One little example of that, the paper textbooks that you all have in your classrooms now go under 7-year adoptions. And one of the advantages of digital learning resources is you can update those all the time, can't you? Right. You don't have to, with textbooks, they're so expensive to print. That's why they waited 7 years. But who waits 7 years for new information these days? So I think that's going to be a huge thing that we're going to see as far as changes in the future. So, but do you like not just using technology, but having these more, what I would call informal places, like the Hot Cafe with different kinds of furniture? Do you like being able to work in a place like that?
Oh yes, it's much more comfortable than a straight back plastic chair.
So can you do good work there, or do you need to sit in a straight back chair to do good work?
I think you remember it like better
Right.
because
If you're comfortable?
Yes. Well, if you go in a place like the Hot Cafe, then I think you are a bit more comfortable and you can learn a little bit more from the technology that you have.
And you think you'll remember or learn it better?
Yes.
Like,
Because
that's-
I think that like once you feel more comfortable, the more that you'll be able to concentrate on what you're
Yeah.
trying to learn.
Joseph, it sounded like you were starting to say something. Can you finish your thought?
yes. Like in our leap room, when we work, we have one big round table, and then we have 3 couches and books in the corner, then computers. But it's all really comfortable, and you can study more when you're on a couch. You feel more comfortable instead of in the classroom when you're straight up and you gotta look straight down. But you feel more at ease. I think
More
when
at
you're comfortable.
ease.
You think you're more productive in a place like that?
Yes, sir.
You think you do your most creative work there?
Yes, sir.
Can you discipline yourself in those kinds of things? What I mean by that is, when you're in those kinds of settings, do you feel like you're able to
Focus.
You have more
focus?
incentive to work hard.
Okay, that's better put.
Yeah.
More incentive to work hard. That's what I was getting at. You think that's true?
Yes, sir.
So you really don't need someone pushing you. You push yourself.
Right.
That's pretty good stuff, you guys.
Well, we're excited to find out more about that. Lyndon, you have our last question. And as 5th graders assembled today in the panel, all of you guys are a couple of months away. We were talking earlier, a couple of months away from going to middle school. So Lyndon, what's your question for Dr. Waddell?
So, what is the best advice you could give one of us going to middle school?
About going to middle school?
Yes, sir.
Number 1, don't be afraid. You're ready, so it'll be okay. Kids make that change all the time, and they do well. I think my advice would be the same no matter what you do, whatever it is you're contemplating doing. Now, it's normal to be a little nervous about change. Everybody is. I was a little nervous when I came and took this job. This is my second year as superintendent in Louisville. And when I came over here, I was a little nervous. And so, when you go to a new environment, a new place, it's normal to be a little nervous. But nervousness doesn't mean you have to be scared. It's just something that happens to us. It's kind of a form of excitement. And would you say that you're maybe a little excited too about going to sixth grade?
Yes.
Of course. But when you do something, you go into something new, whatever it is look forward to it. Have a positive attitude about it. And when you go into something new, work hard. Always do your best. Make friends. Don't be afraid to do that. And realize that other people feel just like you do. And they're going to be nervous too. And just, reach out to people and get to know your teachers and make a good effort in your classes. Get involved in other things. The question about volunteering and in the community is a good question, because in school, in the middle school, you're going to find there's a lot of things you can get involved in. And take advantage of that. Down the road, and it's a ways away for you, but you'll get there before you know it, you'll be looking at going to college. And one thing colleges like to see is people who not only have made good grades, that's important, but also who have done a lot of things, volunteered, been in extracurricular activities, fine arts, athletics. So those things are ahead of you in the middle school, and you're going to really enjoy doing that stuff. So be friendly to folks, get to know people, work hard, have a positive attitude, and get involved in a lot of things. And you will find that your experience in middle school is going to be a really fun time.
Fantastic. Great questions, ladies and gentlemen, and great answers, Dr. Waddell.
Well, thank you, ma'am.
Thanks again. We appreciate it. Wonderful topic for us today. We want to thank all of you for joining us for Insights, and we look forward to seeing all of our students continue to grow in their education in Louisville ISD. Have a great day.